Hello, this is my review of the Kyosho Stinger. Not really. This is a car that I purchased in the early to mid 1980s, back when RC was an actual hobby because you got a box of parts and some instructions and you put it together yourself. But I never actually got the car running. It turned out really well, but I didn't have the proper equipment to get it going. It came with what they called a zip starter, and you would engage the socket down there with a long piece of plastic and you'd pull and hope the engine started. But unfortunately back then it never did. So this car spent a long time on my shelf and eventually was dismantled and put in a shoebox, and I actually considered putting it up on eBay to sell as is. And then during a long cold Chicago winter I decided to revisit this car. So I built everything back. I actually wound up redoing a lot of the linkages and everything, and did a much better job than I did back in the 80s actually, and it really seemed like it would work. And I brought it to a hobby store and said, hey, what about this antique 12CZR engine from OS? Can this run or what? And he played around with it for a while, and sure enough it sprang right to life. So now that I have the proper equipment, I was anxious to get this car together. So I put her all back together, and I got it started, and I've been having fun with it ever since. And you'll see a video on my channel here of the thing running. I've got some new rims and tires on there from Proline, so I could run around town with them. I, of course, have the originals, never used pristine condition wheels and tires. And this is all controlled by a vintage Airtronics. And the older guy at the hobby shop showed this to the younger guy and said, hey, have you ever seen one of these? And the younger guy says, whoa, what's that? So made me feel nice and old. But again, just about everything on this car is original, except for the air filter. The guy at the hobby store says, oh, don't use your original air filter. Those are worth money now. Well, I don't know how true that is, but I figured what the heck, I would keep it nice and pristine, because I know they're not made anymore. But that goes for just about everything on this car. But again, it's been a blast, and I have to say the styling, and this is just when cars were cool. My first car was a Hornet, and another great car, and I'll probably do a video on that too. But I really was interested in the nitro cars, so I went to the hobby store and I said, hey, what about that Stinger? And he says, well, where are you going to run it? He actually yelled at me like I was going to try to detonate a small nuclear device. I don't really get that. I'd like to go back in time and smash that guy in the face, because this thing is no louder than a weed whacker, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, even the styling back then was just way cool. I love the way this car looks. If you look at modern stuff, it's like, okay, what's that? That looks like something that survived a house fire. It's all smashed in. I know it's racing and blah, 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 but this thing is just cool. But anyway, I digress. I hope you like this video. Just really having a lot of fun with this car. I'll probably, I did order a modern car, something I can thrash around with a little bit more. This thing I don't want to damage anything, because like I said, parts are going to be a little bit difficult to find. But hope you like it, and remember that vintage is definitely cool.